Hey, what's happening, Wargamers? Welcome back to another installment of the Road to Precipice, my solo Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress campaign. So, if you've been following along, you know that we are going on our first assault of a stronghold, which is the Null-Gravity Abyss. We've already done our first combat encounter. We are moving into the second one. We've taken a couple grievous wounds here, but nothing to make us have to turn back just yet. So we are going to go take a look at the board and see what our odds are and keep fighting through until we can get to this stronghold in our quest for the hidden vault. So join along with us and check it out. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and be sure to leave comments below, just because, you know, it's great to interact with you guys. So anyway, let's go take a look at the board. We got our board set up here. We have three groups. We have some Trader Guardsmen, more Trader Guardsmen, and then a couple Spindle Drones. We have all our escape routes right along here. There are three of them for us. And I forgot to check to see if there are discovery. Yeah, there are discovery points. There are three discovery points on here. Now, because of the nature of this, I don't know if I'm going to be going after all the discovery points here. And part of me really wants to try and get inspired with his killing of a Spindle Drone in close combat. So I have to decide what I'm going to do here, because obviously I don't want to take on so much damage that by the time I get to the Null-Gravity Abyss, I'm really hurting for that. So anyway, we're going to check out the initiative and get going. So our initiative for the first round of combat, we are looking at group number 3 going first, which is some Guardsmen, followed by Rain and Rouse. Then Janice Drake, 025, group number 2, which is the more Guardsmen, group number 1, which is the Spindle Drones, and lastly, Aegisbrand. So that is group number 3 right over here. We have group number 2 right there, and group number 1. Now, I'm probably going to try and do a gambit with Janice Drake to try and get him going before hostile group number 3, just because I want to try and keep some wounds down to a minimum. But anyway, we also have to figure out our action dice here. So Rain and Rouse are looking at not bad. Some mostly double team actions, but there's that 1-1 in there. Is grievously wounded 1, so he only has 2 dice, and we're looking at a 5 and a 4, so that is excellent. And then Janice Drake, who also has a grievous wound, is looking at, oh, that's not very good for what I'm hoping to do here. And then we have Aegisbrand. And he's looking decent here, but considering he's going last, he's not really going to be adding a whole bunch to this encounter, or at least this turn. And we got our Destiny dice. And okay, so let's see here. I'm losing that, I'm losing that, and I'm losing that. So I have a 4 and a 1 to play with in this particular case. So, not the best roll. So, we're going to get going. Janice Drake is going to attempt to do his free gambit here. So, we're grabbing the agility die, looking for a critical success. It is not a critical success, so he actually is not able to swap with group number 3. So, that is not good. So, it looks like group number 3 is going to be starting us off for this particular engagement. So we got to see what they are doing, and as before, we're going to be rolling 1 roll for all actions. So we're looking at number 12, which in this case, they are very much visible, but they're just outside of three hexes to the nearest character. So it looks like we are looking at, for 12, an aim action. So they're going to be firing into it, and they get to ignore the benefits of cover here. And they will be attacking the nearest targets here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move from here over to here. So starting with the guy with the grenade here. At 4+, he's going to be attacking with a purple die for one success. And So will get to reroll. Oh no! Okay, so is going to lose one of his action die as he takes a little bit more action. Oh, geez, that's a loud noise right there. The wonders of environmental noises here. Anyway, the flamethrower, unfortunately, he is out of range, so he does have to move up. So he's just going to move 1, 2, and stay within cover. And then everyone else. So we have a lasgun here, who is also going to be using the purple die for nothing. And then what else do we have? We have a sergeant and then another lasgun. So let's do the lasgun first. Nothing. And then the sergeant, who has a pistol and a melee weapon at that range, is rolling the d6. Nothing. So they were able to put 1 wound on which is not very good for me, but thankfully it was just 1 wound. Next up, we got Rain and Rouse, and they're going to use a double team action. So they're just going to get right up to here. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use that 1 in there, and we're going to do a stub pistol attack. I really don't care with who. And they're going to go after the flamethrower guy there. And we're looking at 1 wound on the flamethrower. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 more double team action, but we are going to actually get them right up to there. And they are then going to do 1 more double team action and go after as many guys as they can. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to try. Let's see, he's already wounded, and they only got 2 wounds. So yeah, we're gonna do the first double team action against the flamethrower, and unsuccessfully. And then okay, so we will kill the flamethrower. Sadly, that's all we're doing with him though. Janice Drake up next, and we are just gonna use his 1s here. We're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 right up to here. And we are going to try and take out as many of these guys with a flurry of attacks here. So I got 2 attacks. And we're going to go after just the rank and file guys, just to try and take them out. So first one is a grievous wound. So 1 guy is gone. The second attack is also a grievous wound. So Janice Drake was able to take out 2 guys, thankfully. And what did I do? I took the wrong guy there. So Janice Drake was able to take off 2 enemies. And I think what we're going to do, we're going to use the 1 that's in our Destiny dice there, and we're going to do a pistol and rapier attack against the sergeant. See if we can maybe take him out. And with a grievous wound, we will. So Janice Drake had a pretty good turn there, but I think he's going to just stop there. Is up next, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to move him 2. I'm going to use the 4 to get him into position. I'm going to use the other 4 to actually do a vitality roll for him, try to get back some of his health, and nothing. So unfortunately, nothing more is happening with which is going to bring us to group number 2. This big horde guardsmen, we are going to be doing a 5, and they are completely out of line of sight on everything here, so they would be hidden. So on a 5, they're just going to be sneaking forward. So yeah, we're just going to do that. They're just going to move and stay out of line of sight as best as possible. So I think really what they're going to be doing is they're just going to be moving a whole bunch of guys up around here, and these guys are just going to move down to here or so, and that is how they're going to be happy. Spindle Drones are up next, and they are going to be doing a 1 action, which in this case they are just going to be holding, so they're just hanging in there. So that's going to bring us to Esper and Locarno, and I think what we're going to do with him is we're going to get him within 3 of that other guardsman here. So we're going to use 1 die, and that's actually within 3. So we'll use 1 there, and then we're going to use the 2, and we're just going to try and do one of his third eye attacks against that guardsman there, and that will take him out. Fantastic. So I think what we're going to do is he's going to use his 6, and then he's going to use, might as well, you know what, no, he's just going to use his 6 to get there, and, do I want to keep getting him to go forward? Ooh. You know what, I think he's happy where he is, and he's going to save that last die for an Overwatch attack. So that 6 is going to become a 5, but now it means that if these guys go first, he will be able to take a pot shot at him. That does, however, end the turn. So first up, we got to find out if Janice Drake is getting an inspiration token, which he is not. He needed I believe it was a 7. Esper and Locarno is actually getting a token. So he has 2 at the moment. And Rain and Rouse, looking for a 2 or under, is not. And then we have our event die, which we're going to be rolling a 12. And on a 12, we have an escape chamber. So, so we have to place the escape chamber the furthest away. So when looking at the board, unfortunately, I believe that means this is where our escape chamber is going. So that is kind of unfortunate, because I was hoping the escape chamber would have been much closer there. I I think I'm actually missing something here. Oh, no, we're good. Yeah, so the escape chamber is going right there. So we now have an exit path, and it is a long path away. So let's jump into the next turn and see how it turns out. So let's check out our initiative, and it looks like we have group number 3 going first, so they might be reinforcing, followed by Esper and Locarno, Janice Drake, 025, Rain and Rouse, and then we have group number 2, which is the Guardsmen, and group number 1, which is the Spindle Drones. So that's not too bad there. I think what we will try to do, you know, I'm going to risk it. I don't think they're going to reinforce. So what we're going to do is we're going to see what action dice we have. So Rain and Rouse are looking at, oh, that's not even double teams there. That's terrible. Okay. But we do what we can. With his 1 die is looking at a 5. Janice Drake with his 3, 1, and 6. Okay, and Esper Locarno. Reroll that cock die. 3s and 1s. So not a very good turn for my dice roll. Let's find out what we're looking at for our Destiny dice. And so once again, I'm only getting 2 dice here. So that's just prime. So let's get rid of those other ones, and let's just quickly get the reinforcement roll out of the way. And no reinforcing on the group number 3. So next up is Esper and Locarno. So we're actually going to cut south here. So Esper's going to use 1 die and then 2 dice. So he'll use the 2 1s to get there. And he's then going to use some, I guess it's 3rd eye. So you know what, actually, we're going to end his turn right there, actually, because we want to use the 3rd eye in this case. So we're going to use a 3 for a 3rd eye attack against this group over here for nothing. And we're going to use the other 3 to do it again. Nothing again. Okay, that wasn't very good. So Janice Drake, he's going to use his dice. So let's see, that's 1, that's 2 to get right there. And he is going to use a pistol and rapier attack against those guys. So we will be rolling this wonderful D12. Oh my goodness. Okay, you know what? We're going to use the Yokero weapon enhancement in this case to re-roll that. So at least that's 1 wound going on there, and we'll give it to the guy with the club here. That's something at least. Oh boy. Okay. That does bring us to and I think what we're going to do with him, he doesn't have very many dice to play with, but I think what we're going to do, we're going to move him to here with 1 of his dice with a 5, and then we're going to use that 6 from the Destiny die, and we are going to do a assault cannon attack against this group over here as well, just because we got to thin some things out here. So he's going to get 3 attacks on this one. So the first one is 1, so he does kill the meleeer, and then we have another attack, which is grievous wound, so another one will die, and then 1 wound remaining. So he was able to kill two enemies, which is good. It would have been nice to use a little bit more. I think what we're going to do is we're going to exhaust and use full auto settings, which will allow me to take the same weapon action against these guys. So I'm going to get another attack against him. Now I don't know if this means I can go on and roll more of them. I think it just allows me to take one of the actions. So that's how I'm going to play it. So 1 action, no kills. So that is unfortunate. But it does mean Rain and Rouse is up next. And we're going to use the 1s here. So that's 2 dice right there. And then what we're going to do, I think, is a double team action to get them to there. And then we're just going to use 1 stub pistol attack to try and take out this guardsman. And we're going to use the 3 from the Destiny dice to do a double team action. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, so we finally took that last guardsman out. So that is good. Took out a horde of the guardsmen. Should have taken out a whole lot more. But that does bring us to the enemy's turn. For the rest of group number 2, we are looking at an action of 1. So some of them are in line of sight, some of them are not. So we're going to say that they're not within, that they are within line of sight. So in this case, they're not close though. So we are looking at an advance action. So they're going to move 2 and attack the closest explorer that was within range. So the sergeant will go 1, 2, and these guys will just go 1, 2, and they're all hiding out in cover. And it does mean that Rain and Rouse is about to take some attacks here. So starting with the flamethrower, and no cover either, jeez. Starting with the flamethrower, no damage. The guy with the grenade, which is a purple die, is going to be a grievous wound, and Rain and Rouse have a defense die, which is also purple. So Rain and Rouse will take a grievous wound there. Ooh, starting to pile those ones up. Next up, it looks like we have a sword and pistol and melee weapon. So we grab our D6 here. And nothing on the D6. And then finally we have our sergeant. Nothing on the sergeant. So they were able to put a grievous wound on there, which is not good. But we're still okay. So anyway, moving on to the Spindle Drones. They're going to be doing a 3. They are definitely within line of sight. They are close. So they are doing actually a fall back action. Okay. Well, they can't really fall back any further than they actually are. So I think they are just hanging out there, which brings us to the end of the turn. So actually, because they can't fall back, they actually attack the closest explorer, which in this case is going to be Aegisbrand Locarno there. And we are at threat level 3. So they are rolling the D8 here. And we are going to see no damage from the first one. And, uh-oh, grievous wound on the next one. And Aegisbrand Locarno has a defense die, the D6. So Aegisbrand Locarno is going to take a grievous wound. So that means everyone in my party currently has a grievous wound, and we're only on the second combat encounter. So hopefully things start going a little bit better for us. One thing I did forget to do was the reinforcement roll for these guardsmen, which thankfully they are not, because that could have changed some things around. But thankfully nothing's happened there. So we do have some inspiration rolls. So 025 looking for a 4 or under. Nope. And Rain and Rouse looking for a 2 or under. Nothing. And then our event die. We have a 17, and on a 17, it's an inspiration. So what we're going to do is we are going to give an inspiration point to 025 to try and get him inspired on this expedition, and as we go into the next turn. All right, initiative is becoming a lot more important now, and we got going first, followed by group number 2, so that is the guardsmen. Group number 3, which are the other guardsmen. Group number 1, oh no, all the enemies are going first. Then Janice Drake, then Aegisbrand Locarno, and then Rain and Rouse. So as Janice Drake is going to attempt to use his free gambit here. Successfully! So he's actually going to jump in front of the queue and go before these guardsmen right here. So he's going right after in this case. So it's not everything, but it's something. Rain and Rouse, 3 dice. 5, 5, and 3. Okay, so they do have some dice that they can work with in this case. Is looking at a 5. Okay. I got to start regaining some wounds with as well. This is Janice Drake. 6, 5, and 6. So he is going to go on a bit of a warpath, hopefully. And then Aegisbrand Locarno. Oh, 2, 1, and 3. So not a whole lot going on there. Hopefully we get a little bit better on the Destiny dice this time. And let's see, that is beautiful. So I only lose 1. And I got plenty of dice to work with this time around, which is good because I think I'm definitely going to need it in this case. Starting with and as much as I want to try and get his inspiration point for that one, I think in this case what we need to do is we're going to spend 1 die to move him ahead by 2. And, oh no, actually no. What we're going to do is we're going to attack the Spindle Drones first using his... Yeah, so we're going to use the 5 here. Oh, no, do I want to do that? Because I want a 6, but I want the 6 for over here. So, you know what, he's going to use the Destiny die of 4 to do a Mark 1 assault cannon against the drones here. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And he will attack the first drone for 1 wound, and each of these drones do have 2, so that's 1 wounded. And that is going to kill 1 drone, so that's good right there. And we're going to actually exhaust the full auto settings, and we're going to do it again against the last drone there. Sadly, for nothing. So that is that for him. And then he's going to use his 5 here. He's going to use his 5 to move up there, and then he's going to use the 5 that's in the Destiny dice to try and do a recovery roll. And that is definitely cocked, I think. Yeah, that's cocked. Okay, so he does recover his basic wound there, so that's good. That's good. That puts back in the game a little bit for us, which is excellent. But that is the end of his turn. Janice Drake is up next, and he's going to use 1 die to get to there, and another one to get over to here. So that'll be a 5 and a 2 from the Destiny dice. And he is just going to unload into this group of guardsmen here. So he's going to do a flurry of attacks using a bunch of 6s. So using one of the 6s in his repertoire here, he's going to do nothing. 1 wound, so we'll do that against the Flamer, and then the final one for that activation. So he will kill the Flamer unit there, but he's going to use another 6, and he's going to go after them again. So it is a grievous wound, so he'll take out this guy, one of the regular melee guys there. He's got 2 more attacks. Nothing. That's another grievous wound, so he'll get rid of the Grenadier. And I think, let's see here. I think what we're going to do is, as much as I don't want to spend another 6 on it, I'm going to spend a 6 on it. And we're going to do a flurry of attacks against the Sergeant. Nothing. Nothing. And we're going to use the Yokero weapon enhancement to reroll that. Let's see. You know what? We'll use the Yokero weapon enhancement because I would have rerolled one of the failed ones anyway. So it doesn't matter. It's still only going to be 1 wound on the Sergeant, but I did clear out quite a bit there, which is excellent. So that was a good turn for us as we move into the enemy groups. Got to see if group number 3 reinforces. They do not. Which brings us to group number 1, the Spindle Drones. Do they reinforce? They do not. And what does he do? He is going to do a 1. So that is going to be, once again, I think it was a hide last time. No, he's close. So it was a fallback. He can't fall back, so he is just going to attack the closest one, which is a toss-up between or Aegisbrand. So I think in this case, he's going to go after Aegisbrand, because I don't think he has line of sight on there. So he is rolling a d8. Nothing for him. Okay, so that's excellent there. Which then brings us to group number 2. Do the Guardsmen reinforce? They do not. So this lone sergeant is just going to be, who is engaged, is just going to be doing a fallback action. So he can't get out of line of sight. So he is instead going to attack Janice Drake here. And he's going to be doing it with a pair of d8s. So we do have a, oh, that's unfortunate. So we do have the successful grievous wound there. Janice Drake will roll. And I'm going to use the Drakeskin Cloak to reroll that. So at the very least, it's only a minor wound. It's not going to be a grievous wound, but still, any sort of wound coming on to me right now is not good. And unfortunately, it wasn't even a grievous or a critical defense, so I couldn't even attack back. Oh boy. Okay, now that's going to bring us back to our explorers. Aegisbrand Locarno, I think, is. Oh, you know what? I think we were supposed to increase the threat level for them. I'll have to remember that. Aegisbrand Locarno is going to spend his 1, and he is going to do a third eye attack against the Spindle Drone here for a grievous wound. So he will take him out, and he is just going to start hightailing it. So he's going to use both his remaining dice to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and just kind of get out of there. Rain and Rouse are going to do a double team action. I think, yeah, they're going to do a double team action to get to there, so using the 3. And they're going to use another double team action. So the first one is going to try and take out the Sergeant there successfully. Perfect. So there are no more enemies on the board. And then he'll move forward a little bit more. And then they'll use their final dice to do another double team action. So there and there. So at this point, it is a mad dash to get out of this combat encounter because I'm starting to take wounds and this is not good. We do, however, have to see about some inspiration points. So Janice Drake, looking for a 6 or under, is going to get an inspiration point. All right, that's great. Looking for a 2 or under. No. Aegisbrand Locarno, 2 or under, is getting an inspiration point. So he's actually up to 3 at this point. And Rain and Rouse, looking for a 3, is not. And then our event die is going to be a 9, which is changing conditions. So we got ourselves an encounter card. And there is no changing conditions there. So we are moving into the next turn. Checking out the initiative for the turn, and we are starting with followed by Aegisbrand Locarno. Then we got Janice Drake. Group number 3, so some of the guardsmen. Group number 1 for the Spindle Drones. Rain and Rouse, who are going to probably be getting onto their transport this turn. And group number 2. And then we do have to find out what our action dice are. So Rain and Rouse, we are looking at 4, 4, and 2. So they are definitely getting onto their onto the transport. Back to 2 dice, is a 2 and a 1. So he's not moving very far, because unfortunately we needed a, I believe it's a 4+. Yeah, it's a 4+ in order for him to be moving 2 or more. So he's moving very slow. Esper Locarno is looking at some 2s and 3s. That's enough to get him onto the transport. And Janice Drake, who's down to 2 dice, looking at a 5 and a 3. So he might actually be taking a little bit of time to recover a bit. And then the Destiny dice, we are looking at, oh, we're losing a bunch here. So we'll take the 1 and the 6. The rest, unfortunately, are lost to the void here. So let's go into turn 1. So is going to use his 2 dice just to move forward 2. He's going to use the 1 in the Destiny dice as well to move forward 1 more. And then he's going to use the 6 in the Destiny die to do a Vitality roll to try and regain some health here. So looking for a critical success. Nothing. So unfortunately that is it for him. Esper Locarno is well within range, so he's just going to use 1 die and then 2 die, and then he's going to use this 3rd die just to get right nice back there. And Janice Drake, who only has 2 dice to work with, he's just going to get as far away from the portals as possible. So there's 1 and then there's 2. And lastly, or that brings us to the reinforcement group. So group number 3 is not reinforcing. That was a close one. Group number 1 is also not reinforcing. And group number 2 is also not reinforcing. I kind of skipped the ball on that one for Rain and Rouse. But having said that, Rain and Rouse are also going to spend their dice to get in there. Sadly, they can't quite recover, but that is going to bring us to the end of the turn. And our event die is going to be a 10. So once again, this is changing conditions. So now we have a major find. So when an explorer searches a 2 discovery marker, draw 2 discovery cards instead of 1. So that is the one that, that Janice Drake just passed up. I'm not going to go back for it. So we're just going to jump into the next turn. Looking at the initiative here, so we have Rain and Rouse going first, who are happy in the Maglev, followed by group number 3, group number 2. We got 025, Janice Drake, group number 1, and Esper Locarno. And we're going to see what our dice are looking like. So Rain and Rouse are looking at very happy dice, even though they're not really doing anything this particular turn. But still, if they need to. Is looking at a 1 and a 4. So he's going to be supplementing a little bit with Destiny dice, hopefully. Janice Drake is looking at a 3 and a 2. So hopefully I get some good Destiny dice to do a recovery roll for him. And Esper Locarno is looking at some great dice, but he's not really doing anything. And then lastly, our Destiny dice, we are looking at... Okay, so not too bad. So I lose 1 of the 5s, and I gain everything else here, which, I mean, it's not terribly useful. But we just have some quick things. So Rain and Rouse, they're happy with where they are. Group number 3, are they going to reinforce? They will not. How about group number 2? They also will not. So is going to use, he's going to use his 1 to move forward 1. And then he's going to use, let's see, 2 of the Destiny dice to move forward 2 more. And finally, he's going to use his 4 to try and recover that grievous wound. Which he finally did. Well, actually, I think it just becomes a regular wound. I'll have to double check that. But either way, he is recovering a little bit. Which brings us to Janice Drake, who is going to use 1 of his dice to get onto the Maglev. And then he is going to use the 5 that's in the Destiny dice. And he is going to be doing a Vitality roll using the D8 here. Hopefully getting rid of that regular wound, which he will do. So he is back to 3 dice, thankfully. And then group number 1... will not reinforce, which brings us basically to the end of the turn because Esper Locarno is happy with where he is. So the event die is going to be an 11, which is an escape chamber, which we already have. So that brings us right to the end of the turn. So next turn, basically we're pretty much free and clear, but we got to do this last turn just to make sure everything looks good. So our initiative for the last turn is going to be starting with Esper Locarno on the Maglev. Group number 2, Rain and Rouse also on the Maglev. Group number 1, Janice Drake, who's on the Maglev. Then we got who will get on there and hopefully heal up a little bit. And then group number 3. So we got to see our action dice here. So Rain and Rouse, happily sitting here with some dice that they're not really going to be doing anything with. Looking at that cocked is 5, or that one is 5. Oh, a pair of 2, so we can't even recover with those. Janice Drake is not looking at much, but he is on the Maglev already, so he's probably fine. And Aegisbrand Locarno is rolling pretty strong, but once again on the Maglev. So then we have our Destiny dice. And we are going to be losing a bunch of these. We will take the 4 and the 6 because those are some recovery dice at the very least for the characters here. So Aegisbrand Locarno, we're just going to skip him, going right into Group 2, who fails to reinforce. Rain and Rouse, who are happy where they are. Group number 1, which also fails to reinforce. Janice Drake, who is already on the Maglev, followed by will spend one of his dice to get onto the Maglev, and then he's going to spend both those. I guess I should probably double check to see if that last turn was the Grievous Wound just becomes a regular, or if it goes away completely. So yes, it did just become a regular wound. So he's going to spend 1 to try and recover. Yeah, so he will get rid of that last wound. So so he is back up to snuff here. And group number 3. Oh, group number 3 will reinforce. Oh, geez. Okay, so group number 3 is going to come back with 4 small bases. But they're going to be on a line of sight, so they're only going to make it to there. So basically, a whole bunch come barreling in. They can't really do much else after that. So that is going to end this combat encounter. They have successfully made it back onto the Maglev. They are ready to move on to their next encounter here. So we have another exploration card. Only 2 left at this point. So what are we looking at next? Oh boy. Okay, so we have a combat ambush. So we will get that set up. We'll do one last shot of it and then move on from there. Got the board set up. They are going to be ambushed, which means the enemies are definitely going first no matter what. And I think what we're going to do is we're just going to try for a beeline for one of these down here. So we're going to get set up, and that will be the basis of the next video. But for group number 1, we are looking at 8 Traitor Guardsmen, followed by 7 Traitor Guardsmen for group number 2. Group number 3 is going to be a Blackout. So all hexes or all ranges only 3 at this point. So actually, that means I might be making a run for here because there's going to be no enemies. And then the final group is, Noxious Fumes. In the event phase, after resolving the random event, roll the Blackstone die for each explorer and hostile. On a 1, it suffers 1 wound. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is going to be the coming up next. So basically, we're being chased down by, 15 Traitor Guardsmen in this particular case. And they are basically hanging out there and there. So we're all set up and ready to go for the next combat encounter. So be sure to tune in for that one. As always, a week apart. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Always leave comments below. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like, what I got wrong, all that sort of great stuff. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and happy wargaming.